Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. We've got a lot to discuss today. Donald Trump quite literally demolishing, desecrating, defacing the White House while holding a press conference with the MAGA Republican senators today at the Rose Garden, which he also desecrated. And Donald Trump said at this press conference, he said, "Do you hear the sounds of those cranes? Do you hear the sounds of the bulldozers?" It's like, I love that sound. He goes, that sound, it's like money. It reminds me of money, that sound, as the people's house is being ripped to shreds. Let me show you that moment. Let's play it.
And most excitingly, on the other side, you see the fence and the wall. We're building a world-class ballroom. You know, for 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom here. We don't have a ballroom. We have a little cocktail area, but we don't have a ballroom. The East Room, it's called, is a very small cocktail area. It holds about 88 people if it's tight. And I said, if I do this again, I'm going to get a ballroom built, and we're putting up our own money. The government is paying for nothing. You probably hear the beautiful sound of construction to the back. You hear that sound? Oh, that's music to my ears. I love that sound. Other people don't like it. I love it, Josh. I think when I hear that sound, it reminds me of money. In this case, it reminds me of lack of money because I'm paying for it, so it's the opposite. But it's going to be one of the most beautiful ballrooms anywhere in the world, and it's going to be able to take care of tremendous things. When you have, as an example, I'm going to...
You know,
so
Ben,
we have the government shutdown.
Can I say something to you on that?
Yeah.
I'm not as offended by Trump making those statements as I am by the senators who are sitting there laughing and applauding for it. I'm more offended by them.
I mean, I'm equally offended. I mean, I guess that's because perhaps you expect more of the senators. You expect them to protect a co-equal branch of government. But, you know, is the perpetrator of the atrocity or the person who aids and abets and enables, you know, it's always an interesting discussion, I suppose, but let's just talk about the fact that we're in a government shutdown right now, okay? Americans are having their health care ripped away. 20 million Americans getting their health care ripped away. $40 billion is going to bail out Argentina, in addition to $40 billion, which we're basically just flushing down the toilet, because if you took a look at the Argentine peso today, it's like absolutely crashing. Like, it's not building confidence what the U.S. is trying to do and manipulate the elections with the MAGA puppet Javier Milei there as well. So you have that taking place. You have Trump building this ballroom, which he claimed he was going to pay for. He said that it would not touch the existing facade of the White House, that there would be no damage to the White House at all. And so during this government shutdown, when Americans are terrified, frankly, and are psychologically tortured because they're living paycheck to paycheck right now. Everything costs more money. People are afraid they're about to lose their health care because Trump wants to rip it away, and rightfully so. Everyone knows the Affordable Care Act subsidies are expiring and what that means. All the talking points from MAGA isn't working. This is what he's focused on. And Cohen, I'll add something to it as well. Donald Trump is working on a settlement with himself right now and the Department of Justice, where he wants to pay himself $230 million in compensation for federal investigations into him. And he's obviously tasked his own personal lawyers, who now run the DOJ, with determining if the DOJ should enter into a $230 million settlement to pay him. And then your buddies, not really your buddies, the MAGA Republican senators who are equally to blame, like Senator Thune, was at this press conference today, and he was asked by a reporter, so you're 3 weeks into the shutdown. Are you going to negotiate? Are you going to talk with Democrats? Are you going to speak with them about health care and about extending these subsidies? Watch what MAGA Republican Senate Majority Leader Thune says. Play this clip.
Have a little backbone and a willingness to take on their leadership and do the right thing for the country.
You are now 3 weeks into this shutdown, and the two sides don't appear to even be talking. Do you owe it to the American people to at least be negotiating?
Well, I think we have negotiated. I don't know what there is to negotiate. This is about opening up the government. We have offered them several off-ramps now. The Democrats want something that's totally untenable. As Senator Barrasso said, I mean, they want $1.5 trillion in new spending. They want free health care for people who are non-citizens in this country. That is just a flat non-starter. It doesn't pass the Senate. It won't pass the House. It won't be signed into law by the president. What you
And we know that that's just another false talking point that they make. And here's the thing,
But
though.
you notice that they never get off of it. And that is the strength of the Republican Party.
Messaging.
That is the strength of the GOP. What they do is they keep hammering the lie again and again and again. It's very Stalinistic. We've seen it. It's not that this is new. This has been done for generations now, but it's Stalinistic. You repeat the lie until the lie becomes the truth. As Ben just said, more than 20 million Americans are going to lose their health coverage. And that doesn't even include those who have now received letters from their carriers that the premium is going to be minimum 33 to 40% higher than it was before, where people couldn't afford their health coverage before. Now, all of a sudden, tack on another third or 40% or double it. This is not a joke, including, and I can't believe I'm saying this, that Marjorie Taylor Greene is like the North Star for this MAGA or this GOP group, where she's saying her own kids' health coverage is going to double. And she goes, it's not fair. Everybody in America should be entitled to health coverage. They should be able to afford health coverage. What the Republicans are doing right now is making health coverage unaffordable. And worse than that, they're trying to pan it off as if this is a Democratic talking point. It is not.
And I'll share with you what MAGA Mike Johnson said when he was asked, well, what's your strategy? Let's play this clip.
The calculus and the strategy on when I bring everybody back, people have said, are you going to change your strategy? And I've said to you all very plainly in good faith, we don't have a political strategy here. I don't have a strategy. We're just trying to do the right thing. We did what has been customary here and passed a simple CR. Again, this is really important, and it should be a headline in your journals as well. This is the first time in history that any party has shut down the government over a clean CR. It's a clean CR. That's the whole thing. There's nothing much more we can do. With regard to appropriations, the House Appropriations Committee has done its work. They got all 12 of the bills through committee, bipartisan fashion, by the way. Got them through committee. Now we got 3 off the floor. Senate got 3 off the floor. They don't match exactly, so they're going to conference committee. The appropriators are working during this period when we're not here on the floor. They're working and coordinating amongst themselves across the aisle and across chambers to get the next batch of appropes ready and teed up for House passage. As soon as we get back to regular legislative session, we look forward to doing that.
So again, everything he says, to your point, Cohen, is a lie, but they repeat the lie over and over and over again. MAGA Mike Johnson sent the Republicans home on vacation. They're not there working.
One month ago, they are on
How
vacation.
How about this stat? Over the past 90 days, Michael Cohen, Congress was only in session and working 12 days. 12 days, which is
1 week, I was going to say.
1 week, yeah, about 2 weeks, 2 days of actual work. And we saw what those hearings looked like. Remember, there were the hearings of Kash Patel,
Sure.
And other people in those,
Sure.
but they recessed over summer because they didn't want to talk about the Epstein files, right? Then they came back. There were a few hearings where people were asking about the Epstein files. And then they shut down the government, refused to speak with Democrats, yet alone negotiate with Democrats. And when I speak at this point, I've spoken with I think every Democratic senator and people who have been and congressmen, like pretty much everybody. And and people who have been here through prior government shutdowns, people who have been here 30 years, in the House, I've spoken to. And they said, Ben, the weird thing about this one, more than anyone, is that in the past, we'd all be working together. Democrats, Republicans, we'd be in a room together. Congress would gavel in and we'd try to find solutions and compromises to get out immediately. They're like, right now, Trump and all of them, they don't want to open up government. And we saw, right, Cohen, during that press conference today, the types of things that Donald Trump was talking about. And Jeremy, I think we have this clip where Donald Trump referred to Russ Vought, the author of Project 2025, as Darth Vader. And he said, we have Darth Vader out there, and he's gutting the Democrat programs. There was a story that Zetio broke about Vought, who Trump calls Darth Vader. I guess Vought was recently divorced and single. And so according to the Zetio reporting, Donald Trump would have Vought over at Mar-a-Lago and would be telling everybody, like, we got to get this guy laid. Let's get this guy laid, everybody. And like, it was Trump's mission to try to have women at Mar-a-Lago to have sex with Vought, is what the Zetio reporting said. And then that everybody thought that was just like really, really creepy. But it's an interesting aspect of Trump. And I don't know if that's part of what he does at Mar-a-Lago. If there's a compromat aspect of this with the people who are there. You see the photos of the type of people who are showing up at Mar-a-Lago right now going.
You mean the ones whose eyebrows connect to the back of their ears because the plastic surgeon pulled it too tight? Is that what you're talking about?
Our team posts a lot of these photos of the crew that's at this Mar-a-Lago right now. And,
you should have seen little Yoda running around saying to Russ Vought, "Sex you will not have no ever."
Well,
right?
Here's what Donald. So just everybody has the image. Right? It's an image that literally caused me like physical distress yesterday when I saw the White House being destroyed. Like
you and me both.
It literally impacted and like made. I didn't throw up, but I had like a coughing fit. Like I was literally gagging.
I was so upset all day long. I literally didn't speak to anybody. I literally couldn't speak to anybody. You start talking about it, and it was actually the basis for my Substack, where I called, history has left the building. Do people not understand that there's an aspect to the White House, which is America's history? Most people aren't aware of who actually even built the White House. It was built by slaves and very, very poor people. But this is what they managed to produce. This is this incredible, one-of-a-kind building for its time. And I'm saying to myself, you couldn't have maybe put that 90,000 square foot ballroom not attached, which was allegedly the way that it was supposed to be done, but now it has to be attached. So technically, he would never have to leave the confines of the White House in order to go in and out of these functions that they may or may not have, because depending upon how long it takes to build this thing. I do also want to say, Ben, if you could join me on this. As you know, being a real estate guy myself for a very long time, I start to do numbers. I'm a big numbers guy. And if in fact that the price, as Trump and his enablers are claiming, that this 90,000 square foot ballroom is going to cost not the American people, him, or the donors who are going to be paying for this pavilion, $250 million. Well, that comes out to $2,777.77 per square foot. You're basically talking $2,800 a square foot. What's going to be in that space for $2,800 a square foot? Even assuming that you put in a $25 million kitchen, which is absolutely enormous. I don't even know if you can make a kitchen for $25 million, but let's just say, because you're going to have 999 people. So let's even say it's 50 million. You think you have $200 million in construction costs? How? Why? I mean, what is going into it? Is the 250 million all in? Do we know what it's going to look like inside? Because the only photos that I've seen are sort of tables with the very standard, wooden chair, small chairs. You're not talking about plush, and they're not leather. They're small chairs. So yeah, you'll have chandeliers. Even if you bought the most expensive baccarat chandeliers in the world, it's still not going to bring you up to this $250 million number. So there's a reason, and it's why I bring it up, Ben. There's a reason why there are groups within the White House that are responsible for the funding and the approvals for any construction done to any federal building. And why? Why all of a sudden this just was completely overlooked, and all of a sudden you have a wrecking crew on site taking down the East Wing? Like you, Ben, I was very, very upset about it yesterday, and equally when I woke up.
Yeah, there's a law. Those things still exist technically on the books about a National Capital Planning Commission, and any alterations to existing structures have to go through a committee. Now, when Donald Trump committed the fraud and said that he was going to pay for it himself and that it wasn't going to be touching any existing facade in the White House, they claimed the National Planning Commission doesn't have jurisdiction because this is a vertical structure, was actually what they claimed. That guy Scharf at the White House, he said it's a vertical structure, and what the National Planning Commission deals with are alterations on existing structures. So they made up, and Trump makes up things with contracts that don't exist. Their way around it was to say vertical exemption, which isn't a real, even if it was vertical only, you would still require the National Planning Commission. But that's why Donald Trump, the fraud was also in, we're not touching anything existing. So then they touch the existing structure, rip it apart, desecrate it. We see right now, it looks like, bulldozers and cranes ripped it and destroyed the East Wing. It's patently illegal and unlawful. But the fact that there's activity taking place right now, that means money is being spent. So where is this money coming from? And I understand that you can say, well, I don't understand because no one's been transparent, but the argument goes, first, Trump said he was going to pay for it all alone by himself. That's obviously false. I bet he pays basically nothing at all I bet you he doesn't pay anything when all is said and done, if I had to guess, or like $1 million or $500,000 or basically nothing. But then it's all, they said it's coming from these corporations. Okay, well, if all these corporations gave the money, then I saw Wall Street Journal did a report on who the companies may be, but let's see the names. Let's see the deals.
The bank account.
I'd like to see
the bank account that it went into.
I'd like to see the bank accounts. I'd like to see the contracts. I'd like to see what was promised.
I'd like to see the bidding process. I would like to
process, deal terms. And there's another law. So Law 1, National Planning Commission Act, which requires that these things go through a committee and a commission if you're making any type of material alteration, which that law was violated. But then separately, there are disclosure laws that to make sure that these aren't quid pro quos. But by the very nature of what Trump says is going to happen, that these companies can get their names on the White House, or, that they'll be now considered in history to be affiliated with the White House, right? Well, that's a benefit. If you think about the World Series, right, Dodgers and Toronto Blue Jays, and you go to one of their stadiums, it is a benefit to the company that they pay for when their name is in the stadium, when you see it.
Rights.
So a medium-sized business or a small business or even a large business that can't afford $20 million to have their names on the White House could be disadvantaged in a bidding war when they do international business or when they do local business versus these corporations that now have their names like a banner on the White House. So to me, the very setup violates quid pro quo provisions. You give me money, you get a benefit. That's unlawful.
Hey,
but
Ben,
setting aside whether that arrangement's unlawful, what I've wanted people to sue for, and you've heard me saying it, Cohen, I've been trying to lead the charge on this for like 3 months, 4 months. when I first heard about this thing in August. I said, someone sue, it's unlawful, someone sue. And nobody sued. And I'm like, why is nobody suing? And I've heard different arguments, Cohen. Some people said, do you really think it's a big deal? There's so many other things, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I get that in the swing of things, people losing their health care and dying because they don't have health care may matter more than the White House being destroyed. But I said, you're missing the point. This is a symbolism of everything that Trump is doing. And it needs to be stopped because this is the ultimate no kings. You don't get to go in when you're the president and demolish the White House. Like
it's
not
a very basic property. It's not his house. It is our house. How many times do we have to say the same thing over? I'm with you, Ben. I could not find a lawyer that would be willing to take on this case. But I do actually have a real interesting question. When Ben turned around and said, I'd like to see the contracts. I said, I would like to see how the bidding process worked. I would like to see who is going to be involved in this construction across the board. Ben brought up a different point, which is, are there quid pro quos for the contracts? My question is this a union project or is this non-union? I don't even know. I can't find, don't think for a second that I didn't scour the internet, read every single article on this. And every time I saw the same photos, I just felt gross. Is this a union deal or is it a non-union project? I couldn't find that answer out. And I think it's important because my understanding, at least during the campaign, was that Trump is allegedly pro-union. Well, if you're pro-union, how are you not having union ending up building this project? Or do we go back to the way some of the other projects over his history were done? I don't know the answer. And I'm really interested in finding out that answer. So if any of you ever come across the article, just do me a favor, DM me, because it's extremely important. I really do. I think it's extremely important to see, how this administration is intending on dealing with things like this.
Couldn't agree more with you there. And while that's going on, this is how Fox, our state regime media, which is worse than North Korea's propaganda media there. Like it's actually worse. So how are they trying to message all of this? Like, as American people are suffering, as people are struggling, there's Farmageddon, farmers are going bankrupt. There's a recession in construction and manufacturing. We're not even getting data anymore from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So we don't even know if our recession or not. We don't have any data about inflation, about job reports. Just think about that. That's not being reported. And a very greedy corporate class of people, they're pretending that the systemic issues that are existing don't exist. And then meanwhile, you've got Brett Baer. I think Brett Baer lives in like a $30 million mansion in Florida. I think he lives in Florida. So I believe you don't pay state income tax in Florida, although it has a very regressive tax policy that impacts poorer people far more than rich people. So you end up paying more taxes. The burden just falls on not wealthy people. So Brett Baer, wealthy as can be, lives near Trump in Florida, $30 million home. Go Google Brett Baer's home. So this is the guy over here who's out there saying the following. Let's play Brett Baer first.
Yeah, and listen, this Rose Garden Club is something that the president really wanted to do, and he has the music. He plays the music when he has dinner out there. He's the DJ with the iPad. He's got the whole thing, and it's an eclectic mix, as you can
It's all over the board. Yeah. Let me tell you, Elvis, REM, Phantom of the Opera, Cats. He's been known to go all over the place with it. He is a big Elvis fan.
And then here, Lara Trump talks about the umbrellas that are now at the Rose Garden, which was destroyed. And then a club was made of the Rose Garden. They just ripped the Rose Garden to shreds. Here, play this clip of what she says about the umbrellas.
And I think it is an incredible thing to see. I also love seeing those beautiful umbrellas there that remind me of the Mar-a-Lago Club and Trump Bedminster. Those are always the best to see. He's really done a great job with that Rose Garden out there as well.
He's really done a great job with the Rose Garden out there. Cohen. I mean, I don't know what other way this crew of people, these Trumps and their enablers, how else could they communicate to the 99% of us in America that they hate us, that they hate you, that they think you're stupid, that you're their mark? I don't know how in many other ways they can communicate that. Did you see today, Cohen, when Donald Trump posted about that seemed to indicate that American troops may need to go into Gaza? Or he said, like, we're going to have to.
I mean, again, we're stuck right now in a world where Trump, his enablers, his cabinet, Machine Gun Lips, Levitt, and the whole group of them, they say things. And the first thing that at least I'm thinking, all right, how much of this is bullshit and how much of this is actually true? And when I listen to
can I tell you how I process that?
Please.
It's bullshit if it helps the American people.
Right.
It's true if it helps Donald Trump.
Well said, my brother. Well said.
And
by the way, never be sorry, especially when you come up with something as prophetic as that. I mean, because that's really what it is. I'm so disappointed that there was a time that we had people who stood up there on the podium. There are times that we had people in the press that when they said something, you believed it. It wasn't even that, it was fact. It was gospel. You never questioned it. Now, everything that's coming out of, whether it's Caroline Levitt's mouth, MAGA Mike Johnson's mouth, John Thune's mouth, Scott Besson's mouth, the other one, Smiling Bob's mouth, everything that they say, it's all pre-planned. It's all talking points. And we're sitting here, we're saying to ourselves, why am I even wasting my time and watching this? And I think the reason is because if you don't, then you're malinformed. If you do watch it, you're misinformed. So basically, you're fucked if you go to the left and you're fucked if you go to the right. So it's sort of like, what do? And many people who I'm friendly with, the first thing they just say is, I just don't do anything. It's like, I just sometimes sit and I'm watching, but I'm not thinking. I'm not thinking about what they're saying. Now, here's the biggest problem too. Every single day, we're hit in the face with a fire hose of chaos. And sometimes it's our fault. All right. We have to take sometimes responsibility too. Not every single thing that Trump does or his acolytes, sycophants, enablers, cabinet, whatever you want to call these folks, not everything that they do requires us to make commentary on it and to continue to promote it, regurgitate it, on and on. Like this lawsuit that he filed for 200, well, I shouldn't say lawsuit. It's a pre-lawsuit. It's a notice to the DOJ for a settlement. Why is that even worth the conversation? First of all, he's legally entitled to do it, but that doesn't mean he's going to get paid. All right. Is it possible? Sure. Is it possible it gets thrown out? Sure to that too. Instead, what do? We all jump onto this gigantic band. Let's concentrate on the things right now because by the way, Ben, join me please again for 1 second. Do you remember months and months and months ago, you and I, we spent almost half of our program talking about the 90 days, 90 deals commentary by this administration. Howard Lutnick turned around 90 days, 90 deals. We're already there. We're getting there. Remember all that? Remember how much we discussed that? You remember how you were red in the face, turning around saying, bullshit, bullshit. Anybody that wants to bet me, I'm willing to take the bet and give odds. There's never going to be 90 deals in 90 days. There's not going to be 90 deals in the first year. There's not going to be 90 deals on the second year, the third year, or the fourth year. That his entire presidency, there won't be the 90 days, 90 deals. And, you know, and everybody in the chat, they all agreed with you because everybody agrees with Ben. And then all of a sudden, what happens? We move on to the next chaotic mess, tariffs. We're now up to $20 trillion. Not only $20 trillion, there's 500 billion sitting on this shelf, 2 trillion this shelf. We're up to an additional $20 trillion of foreign investment that's coming in. And once again, Ben and I engaged with you in a conversation, an intelligent, factual conversation, that the United States government's GDP is 28.2 trillion, more than double that of China, which is number 2. Well, if you take the 17 trillion or 18 trillion now from tariffs plus the 20 trillion from foreign investments, that's $38 trillion. Can someone please tell me where this fucking money is? All right. Somebody just tell me where this money is. Yeah, Nancy, I'm with you. Where is all this money? Somebody show me the bank account. Post it on the government website on where this money is. It's our money. And see, that's the thing. It's not his bank book. It's not it's not J.D. Vance's bank book. It's not the GOP's bank. It's our bank book. And they have to be open and transparent as to where this money is coming from, how much money is coming in, and just show us, as they said in the movie, right? You know, show me the money. But nobody does that. And where is our party screaming, show me the money? Could you imagine, Ben? Ben, can we do a shirt that just says something like, show us the tariff money?
Yeah. When I interview lots of Democratic Congress members, the way I ask the question is, I said, so what's your thought about sending a letter to the Treasury Department where you ask, please show me the money because we're in a government shutdown right now. Republicans are saying that there's not enough money to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies, despite giving tax cuts for billionaires and subsidies to billion-dollar corporations. So if there is this money that exists on a tariff shelf, because the representation is that at least 17 trillion has been recovered to date, that's what Trump says, from tariffs, that he brought it in, 17 trillion, that he expects 20 trillion by the end of the year. We would like to see where it is. And if it's not there, please let us know why these material representations material misrepresentations have been made.
But Ben, are you disagreeing with me that there's two different tranches of money? One is the tariff money, which is now up to 18 trillion, but then there's a completely separate tranche of money based upon the claims that are coming out of Caroline Machine Gun Lips Levitt, that there's another $20 trillion of foreign investment that's coming into this country. Is that part of the tariff money? Is it separate? Because the way I understand it is that it is separate, thereby bringing it to $38 trillion. So if I'm wrong, I would like to know, but I can't figure out, is it 17? Is it 18? Is it 20? Is it 38? Somebody just tell me how much and show me the fucking money already.
Well, here's the thing, too. Biden, Obama, George W. Bush, in normal times, if you were so reckless with your language as to even insinuate, yet alone to affirmatively claim, trillions of dollars coming in that didn't come in, you're done. You're done. Gone. Either 25th Amendment, impeached. Democrats would force you out. Like, you know, and by the way, it'd probably be people like me, the same way I'm very critical of Trump. It'd probably be people like me saying, yeah, you know, this is a deeply disturbed human being. Get the hell out of here. I wouldn't be like, oh, I like Biden doing this, so I'm going to let him say $20 trillion. I'm going to say this guy's got this guy's got real freaking issues, what I'd say. So Cohen, the issue is exactly what you're saying though, too, is the job of the presidency is to also be surgical with your language, like a brain surgeon is surgical during the procedure, right? You don't want a brain surgeon who shows up with rather than the tools that they use, that just shows up with a bunch of forks.
How about a jackhammer?
Yeah, just starts, doing this. Trump's the equivalent of a brain surgeon who shows up without a degree in brain surgery, without practice, and then just starts jabbing and poking and grabbing and squeezing. And sorry to give a visual like that, and then says, look, you're fixed, as it goes beep, 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 beep. No, the beep is actually a song. It's a beautiful musical that you all should know. Cohen, precision with words and language in the presidency is important. And I'm with you. I don't want to get lost in, you could talk about Donald Trump posting the videos about himself defecating on the faces of peaceful protesters and AI. I don't want to get lost in those traps. Suffice to say, Trump is not doing the role of the presidency. What he is doing the role of is someone who's looting and pillaging and stealing, I think, in my opinion, from we the people, and he's engaged in a massive effort to distract from it with all of these Ponzi scheme frauds. We'll talk more about that when we come back from our first quick break. A reminder, subscribe to the Mea Culpa audio podcast wherever podcasts are available. In addition, please subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe there. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's Substack. It's a great Substack. Michael Cohen's a great writer. From time to time, we try to feature Michael Cohen's work on our Substack just to show you what a great writer he is. Subscribe to his Substack as well on his own personal. We'll be right back. First and only quick break of the show.
You know that feeling when you throw on a t-shirt that actually fits right? Not too tight, not too baggy, just clean, easy, confident. That's what I got the first time I put on True Classic tee. The guys at True Classic, they started with one simple idea: make premium, comfortable clothes that actually work for real people. And clearly, they nailed it. With over 25 million shirts sold to 5 million customers. I'm one of them. And more than 200,000 five-star reviews. People don't fake numbers like that. So for me, True Classic isn't about fashion. It's about function. The shirts fit where they should. They move with you and they hold through real life, flights, studio days, even those nights when you fall asleep reading the news. The fabric's soft, really soft, and it keeps its shape. And you know what? It doesn't scream, try hard. It just looks good. And that's the thing. You don't have to choose between comfort and confidence. With True Classic, you get both. You can find them at Amazon, Target, Costco, and Sam's Club, or just head straight to trueclassic.com/beat to check them out. That's trueclassic.com/beat. Upgrade your everyday, feel better in what you wear, and actually enjoy putting on a t-shirt again. Go now. You ever try launching a podcast with zero experience? Well, let me tell you something. It's like being tossed into a cage match with a grizzly bear, blindfolded, wearing clown shoes. Because when I started Political Beatdown with Ben, I thought, come on, man, how hard can this be? Script writing, logos, production schedules, ad deals, and don't even get me started on the tech setup. I feel like I was decoding a damn matrix. Now, if only I had Shopify when I launched this beast. Shopify is the platform behind millions of businesses across the globe, responsible for a whopping 10%. You hear that? 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. And my friends, that's not hype. That's fact. From big names like Mattel and Gymshark to folks just getting their hustle off the ground, Shopify's got their back. You want a gorgeous online store? Shopify's got hundreds of sleek, ready-to-go templates that make you look like a design god. AI tools? Yeah, they've got those too. Writing your podcast descriptions, jazzing up your images, maybe even making you sound smarter than you are. I mean, not naming names, and you need a marketing squad, Shopify's built-in tools let you hit email, Instagram, TikTok, wherever your customers are scrolling or doom scrolling. And listen, Shopify handles it all. Inventory, returns, international shipping. I mean, they are the ride or die business partner that you never knew you needed. So if you got a big idea or even a little one and you're ready to turn that dream into a reality, head over to shopify.com/beat. That's shopify.com/beat to start your $1 per month trial today. That's Shopify, shopify.com/beat.
Welcome back to Political Beatdown. Shout out to all of our sponsors. We are grateful for them.
By the way, their clothing happens to really be great. You know, I'm going to share something with you, Ben. I love soft t-shirts. I used to wear this one t-shirt to sleep as often as I could. The problem is I had it since I was in college. Mind you, that's 40 years ago. So like most of the cotton was already like see-through, but it was so soft because I like to sleep with soft material. It is so soft. I bought like a whole bunch of them and I try to sleep in them as often as possible.
Cohen, let me give you some data points. You know, this is the Gallup poll that came out yesterday. Which party would do a better job of keeping the country prosperous? Democrats, 47%, up 4 points from 2024. Republicans, 43%. When you've had this question asked in 1988, it was Republicans up 18 points. Wow. 18 points in 1988, Cohen. 2007, Democrats up 20 points. 2023, Cohen, Republicans up 13 points there. So when this question was asked during the Biden administration, which party would do a better job of keeping the country prosperous? The same exact poll. It was plus 13 Republican then. And now in 2025, we're seeing plus 4 Democrat, which is the largest Democratic advantage since 2012. And what's interesting about that, Cohen, is that I've always thought strongly, I felt wrongfully, Republicans are often given they're good for the economy, they're conservative, they're the fiscal hawks. But I'm like,
when was this poll taken, Ben?
Yesterday.
Okay. I have a problem with it. I have a problem. Why don't you finish what you were saying, and then give me a second to sort of.
I'll let you do that. Here's another one from Gallup. For this came out this week for the third quarter of 2025, and they poll this every quarter. National party identification. Like if you ask the people in the country who take this poll, do you align more with the Democratic Party or more with the Republican Party? Democrats up 7, which is the best reading since the first quarter of the Biden administration. And if you looked at the same poll, for example, in 2024, 2023, Republicans had a significant edge. And when you look at the charts, you can see really this quarter for the first time, the Democrat, the blue, is going up. So you have that data point, Cohen. But
okay, so here's the thing. I don't even know what the hell a vibe shift is, to be honest with you. I don't even know how one would go about asking a question on it. Hey, you happy with? I don't get it. It doesn't. It sounds to me like one of those bullshit questions. The one that I'm more concerned about, really concerned, and it's why I turn around in every single episode and I say it is incumbent upon. There's only so much that Ben, Brett, Jordy, the Meiselas brothers, Midas Touch Network, Michael Cohen, and others can do organically. Need your help. Need your help to grow this network, our platforms. Why? Because, Jeremy, do me a big favor. Can you go back to that first poll, the one that shows +4 for Democrats? If anybody goes to sleep feeling good, when you have, as of today, with more than 20 million Americans going to lose their health coverage, with the economy in the toilet, with costs of goods as a result of the tariffs going through the roof, where people can't afford mortgages, they can't afford that Democrats are only a +4. What is it going to take for these Republicans to understand, hey, you're getting kicked in the groin with steel tip boots and it hurts. So why are you just standing there and allowing it to happen? +4 is bullshit. By the way, here's the bigger problem. At the end of the day, what are you laughing about? At the
It's
end of
funny the way it's funny because
At the end of the day, Ben, it's a plus or minus.
Just so because this is why you crack me up when we're not on the show. Like, this is why we did the show. Like, it's just how you and I talk to each other off the air. It's total, it's total effing bullshit, Ben. What are you even talking about?
Here's the big problem. You have a plus or minus 5% up or down, right? There's a margin of error. So are you telling me that basically with the plus or minus that Republicans and Democrats are equal on the economy? Is there something fucking wrong with these people? At some point in time, what do you have to be, homeless? Do you have to be hungry? Do you have to turn around and tell your kid, no, you know what you're getting for dinner tonight? A hot water and a piece of lemon? I mean, and a piece of bread? This is not a joke anymore. Everything is costing more, from your electricity to your beef, to your health coverage, to life, to mortgages, to everything. It's all sky high. And the fact that these polls are showing that we're almost at a statistical tie with a plus or minus margin of error, I am concerned. And it's why I say to everybody, I am begging each and every one of you, bring Midas Touch Network to one person. I'm telling you, there cannot be anything more important for each and every one of us to do right now than to join together and fight this thing, because we're fighting stupid people. And I don't know an easier and a nicer way to say it. We are fighting stupid people. And the only way is to, one by one, pick them off slowly. We have 1 year to do this.
So, Cohen, I'll give you just an example. So here is a cattle rancher who's a Trump supporter, right? And so what Trump's do, we know there's lots of issues with beef right now and beef prices, and also people not consuming the same amount. So we know that Donald Trump gave $40 billion to Argentina, but in addition to giving the $40 billion to Argentina, Donald Trump announced that we need to focus on bringing in beef from Argentina, which, by the way, has a massive foot and mouth disease issue where the beef could actually be deadly. Like, Argentina had like an outbreak of that. So you actually should be very careful about Argentinian beef right now, right? So, but Trump makes the announcement. It's like we said before, just so reckless and careless and malicious with his words, because by saying we want Argentinian beef, we could be going around our Department of Agriculture that doesn't want to do that. Most of our beef comes from the United States. And we should keep it that. We should support our domestic cattle ranchers. But Trump saying we want it from Argentina, that goes against what the Department of Agriculture's messaging is. They now have to change what their messaging is. It puts Americans' lives at risk by doing that, and it screws over our ranchers as well here. But then a rancher, to your point, goes, "Dear Trump, we love you and support you, but your suggestion to buy beef from Argentina to stabilize beef prices would be an absolute betrayal to the American cattle rancher. We understand there are larger economic and geopolitical dynamics at play, including countering the CCP influence in countries in our hemisphere. But the practice of solving problems over there before solving problems here on our soil is what contributed to the downfall of our country. America always comes last. We understand beef prices are high, and we admire your concern for all Americans. But this is not the fault of the American producer. This is the fault of politicians who have allowed BRICS-aligned entities to dominate the meat industry that participate in price fixing and who also continually lie to their consumers. Washington's for decades has facilitated the squeezing of our own ranchers while allowing these entities to flood the market with cheaper, lower quality imports." And then this other person commented, "We love and support you, Donald, but you're a traitor killing our business." But Cohen, that goes exactly to your point. It's like, what do you mean? It's like when I think about the interviews that take place in Little Havana, in Miami, or in the Venezuelan communities right next to Trump's hotel in what's it called? The Duran or
Doral?
Doral, yeah, like that whole city council are Venezuelans. Like the mayor of Doral is Venezuelan woman, and so you ask them,
Cuban,
Venezuelan and Cuban. So you ask them, and by the way, they all lost. Their family members who were here lost their TPS. They lost their temporary protected status. Trump revoked it from all the Venezuelans and Cubans and Haitians.
And on the way out, we're going to give them a pound of Argentinian beef.
Give them the pound of Argentinian beef. But you go and you ask these people and you go, okay, you still supporting Trump? You still like what he's doing? And they'll say, look, I don't like what he's doing on immigration, but what he's doing on the other things, I'm still a big supporter of. And I'm like, you're an immigrant. What do you mean what he's doing on immigration? He doesn't think you should exist in this country. I think there needs to be a hierarchy of what it is that matters to you. If they were like, I hate everybody named Ben. And I'd be like, you know what? When it comes to the Ben policy, not a fan. However, when it comes, he doesn't want, at what point do you realize the farmers, the ranchers, the manufacturers, the construction workers, the businesses, when he seizes control of the businesses and Cohen, there is such, and here's the thing, people have been so propagandized in this country over the decades, and, you really saw this at the end of the 70s as the plan took shape to create right-wing propaganda media outlets. In the 80s, with the radio and Rush Limbaugh, then in the 90s with the advent of Fox, the removal of the fairness doctrine, pouring this bad info, into people. It's such a great point that you bring up, Cohen, though. It's like he hates you. He doesn't like you. He's destroying your life. He's the guy doing it to you.
Can I just give you a little bit more?
We love and admire you. However,
right, a little bit more of a personal insight on him. He doesn't like them. He doesn't hate them. He doesn't give a shit about them is the real answer, right? They're neither here nor there. A lot of people would turn around and say, oh, yeah, Donald hates that group. No, he doesn't. Oh, Donald loves that group. No, he doesn't. He doesn't give a shit about them one way or the other. They were a means to an end for him. And what's the means? Getting reelected. All right, that's the means and the end. Go ahead, bring them, say the things that you think that they want to hear, be the popularist, get them to vote for you, become president again, and then do your thing. Now, look, we can all turn around and say the same thing. We don't like most of the things that this administration are doing. And that's a fair statement to make. Absolutely fair. There's only one problem. The way our system is set up, the plurality of Americans ended up voting for somebody who already previously told you what they intended to do if they got back into office. And so every day when you go to sleep and every morning when you wake up, depending upon what night shift you have, you're ending up seeing the realization of the campaign promises. And that's why I will forever keep pushing each and every one of you, as I do every single day. I devote so much time within which to get people to this platform, to my platform. For what purpose? Because when we become so big, we don't have to worry about whether or not the midterm elections are going to go Republican. Because remember, while we keep adding on the Democratic side, they keep gerrymandering states to ensure that even the increases in the popular vote for that area will not mean what we think that it means. And then once again, they just did it again now in Ohio. They want to now change and gerrymander this one area that will increase Republican seats in the House by 1. So you pick off 1 here, 1 there, 5 here, 6 there, 2 here, 1 there. Next thing you know, you're in an impossible scenario within which to take back the House, meaning he will once again, for an additional 3 years, control completely all 3 branches of government. And that is never what our founding fathers had expected. That and fucking up the White House by ripping down the East Wing. All right. Two things I can assure you that our founding fathers did not approve of and would not approve of.
Cohen, two-finger salute. Who does it go to today, sir?
You know, Ben, I'm going to need a little bit of your assistance here. So if you'd be kind enough to join me, there's so many people that deserve it. But as you know, some people, there's just no point to keep giving it to
I
them.
like when, you know what I always like with your two-finger salute? When you give it to someone who's not even mentioned.
John
on the
Thune.
episode.
John Thune.
We mentioned Thune, though. I showed the clip.
Yeah, but you showed what, a 30-second clip, a 10-second clip? John Thune, because the fucker knows better. All right, he knows better. To all the Republican senators that clapped, all right, at that lunch, that Senate lunch in the Rose Garden, all right, to every single one of them that thought any of this was funny, whether it was oh, I hear the sound of machines, I love this sound, all the way to the fact that Trump made a claim that he has already stopped 8 wars, that he and he alone is responsible for stopping 8 wars, soon to be 9. I don't even know what the 9th is, but I guess maybe he's thinking Russia and Ukraine, but he's already stopped, and they applauded. These fucking assholes applauded something that they know is absolutely not true. And what's the point to applaud a lie? Ben, I want to be applauded for actually hitting a grand slam home run that now put the Dodgers, all right, back into the World Series. I alone did it. All right. All right. So I want applause from everybody. Thank you very much. It really wasn't that much. I got up to the plate. I swung the bat. You know, it was an easy one. The guy was only throwing 97, which is sort of like slow for me. And then everybody's sitting there and applauding. And if you turn around and you say to yourself, you're delusional. Yeah. It's complete delusion. And you know what? They're not delusional. What they are is they're self-motivated. And for that self-motivation, I give you the two-finger salute. Fuck you all. Be better.
On that note, you don't get that on cable news, ending a show like that. Michael Cohen.
No.
Michael Cohen, Beatdown, Brigaders. I just want to thank y'all for hanging in and staying in this fight with us. For real, it's not easy. It really isn't. And, you know, if you ever want to take a break and then come back to I get it. Mental health is important. We're out here every day and we're going to be fighting for you. I just want you to know that. And you always have a community here. You always have a team of people here who are doing everything we can do every day to fight for you. We're going to make some mistakes some days. We're going to have good days. We're going to have bad days. But our North Star is always just going to be fighting for you, just every single day. And so I just want you to know that. I think that sometimes isn't said enough, because I met a lot of you at the No Kings protest out here in Pasadena when I was there. I saw, from time to time, I read a lot of the comments that you send, but a lot of people I'm not able to meet, but I see you and we hear you and we value you, and you matter. Your words matter, your friendship and your being a member of this community, matters. And it's what's helping make a big difference in changing the dynamic in the way news is reported. And you're leaving that legacy as well, being a member of this community and working hard.
Hey, Ben, can we do one thing while you're summing everything up? Can we ask all of our brigaders if you like my two-finger salute today to all those senators? Can you just put a 2, just a number 2 in the comments so I know that I actually I hit the grand slam?
There you have it. Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million here. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe there. Subscribe to the Mea Culpa audio podcast. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's Substack. Subscribe to our Substack. Thanks, everybody. See you soon. Keep watching these videos. Check out our Substack. Check out Cohen's Substack. See you soon, everybody. Have a good one.
Boom. Two-finger.